Thank you for joining us. Today we're adding another feature to our Real Good Toy beachside bungalow Hawaiian theme, you've probably heard me say a few times, but for those who are new,
Super
we're
glue.
trying to go with an
Today we're
environmentally
adding another
friendly
feature to our
focus.
Real Good
So we're
Toy
using things we
beachside
have around our
bungalow
home, things
Hawaiian
we've
theme.
recycled,
So you've probably heard me
or
say.
an innovative way to look at doing things less expensive. So today, created an island for the dollhouse. It is made from cardstock, Q-tips, glue, and mat board and printed vinyl and paint. Use the Cricut Maker machine. Really love this machine. It's amazing. I call it our little robot. It is so versatile. But I also want to show you I make mistakes. And here's one. If you don't get your vinyl, paper, whatever you're using on your mat board and have it adhere, um, roll it with a brayer so that it's nice and tight. It can get jammed in the machine. Here are all the little pieces. I start with a cardstock um, model first to make sure, tape it together, make sure it's going to fit. Have to allow for allowances with whatever you're using, which we use mat board, which is 1/8 of an inch. So this just shows you on the machine. It'll walk you through setting it up, what you're going to use, and then you press to cut. And here it is cutting through the mat board itself. You just saw the cardstock. I usually do about 8 cuts. I've tried 13, 14. I still have to use the X-Acto knife, but it's just a little swipe. It's not that hard, and it's pretty cool. Then I sand the pieces. Then I try to dry fit them, as I did with the cardstock after I've made my corrections. I glue it together with tacky glue. I try to brace it so that all the corners are going to be tight, and then it will fit together. I'll be honest, this has taken me several weeks to do. Some of you are more experts than I, and you can do this, but I have some challenges, so it takes me a while. And I have a lot of help from my husband, who's the brains behind all this. And it's not perfect, but you'll see with the printable vinyl, it turns out to be really cool, and with paint and sanding, obviously sanding first. So here are all the little pieces. Now you can see I took several layers of mat board to put bracing inside this little cabinet because I wanted drawers in it. Glued them together, used banker's clips to tighten them, kept checking to make sure they were pretty even, sanded it when I was through, and this is what you get after you glue it. It's a little hard to see, but it's 4 layers of mat board. And obviously you could pick something else, but this is my challenge that I'm doing towards myself. And I used 4 layers for the smaller drawers and 2, I think it's 3 layers, 2 to 3 layers on the bottom. Sorry, I can't remember now. Kept trying to fit it and make sure it all fit right, because you've got a challenge with the front drawer. It's got to be a little bit bigger than the back, obviously, and this is what it looks like. Then I cut pieces of mat board to cover over the glued layers so that it looks a little more finished. I know it still looks pretty rough. And this is the inside. Trying to make sure it's going to fit. And I've seen many different ways to do it, but this is how I chose to do it. Now, one thing I did that was wrong is I flipped it upside down. That's the bottom. And I started making the drawers fit the bottom. The opening, the top, was for the island topper. And this is just showing, again, the Cricut machine and how it actually goes through. And it does like a scanner, a laser scanner, and then it cuts. And one thing I'll caution everyone, I have made this mistake way too many times. Make sure you are assigning the right size of paper, vinyl, whatever, or it will end up cutting into your mat. Now, I wanted to have a wood tone, so I researched, and I thought with Hawaii koa wood, K-O-A, koa wood, is absolutely gorgeous. So I found some photos of koa wood and took a picture of them and took it to Photoshop, cleaned it up, put it into my Cricut design space, made these rectangles and made it the sizes I needed to go over the sides of the island and the cabinet fronts, and then told my machine that I was uploaded it, and then told my machine it was going to my HP printer, printed it, came back out on printable vinyl, and looks like koa wood. So then, because I had already set up those rectangles in the machine, I was able to set the machine for printable vinyl for cutting, and it cut the pieces, as you can see here, right along the edges. And this is the second. I had 2 pages, one for the island top. Now the granite color, I found a photo of granite, fine-tuned it, modified it a bit in iPhoto, and then I did it in Photoshop, and again put it in the Cricut design space. So what I wanted to do was cut out all the pieces, make sure I had what I wanted, measure to make sure I had the right size, and then was able to add it to the island, which you'll see in a few minutes. But I think this machine is phenomenal. I mean, it's just amazing. The mistakes I find are mine. Now, one thing with cutting out anything printed on printable vinyl or printed paper, make sure you set it up to make sure the scale is right. And Cricut has a tutorial on how to help you align it so that your cuts will be almost perfect. It's never absolutely perfect, but it's really close, better than I could do. I use tacky glue to glue pieces together. Now for the island top, I use 2 layers of mat board so it would be solid. I cut out some extra pieces of mat board to put under the island so it'd give it a finished edge as you would have in regular kitchen furniture, cabinetry, and you'll see it went all the way around. Now, there's a little bit of a space on the corner. It didn't miter perfectly, but that was okay, and you'll see why in a few minutes. So just showing you all the different angles of that. I made an overhang for the island, the front and the back, bigger on the front where the chairs will go, and smaller where the drawers are. And I just thought it'd be fun to learn how to make drawers and put them in the kitchen area. And from a dollhouse perspective, this will be great to store things that I need to use for holidays, but also for kitchenware. Now, to get my cabinets insides painted, I used some acrylic paint. I mixed it together to match the koa wood as best I could. Painted inside, tried to make a grain look, and there you have it. Pretty close. And I really like that effect. Then I use Krylon satin clear varnish to spray it with an acrylic outside, away from fumes. And this is a little upside down, but this is a wax I put on it. And here we have the vinyl actually on the cabinet. And this is that printable koa wood vinyl. And you'll see that the edges look great. Just a little bit of paint. And now I've added the printable vinyl granite to the top and to the sides. I use Gorilla Super Glue just to put the edges down on the granite. Wanted to introduce you to a friend who's a fantastic artist, Marilyn Westcott. She has her own YouTube site. She had challenged us, those of us in the guild, to create shells, and you'll see that I use those for our handles. The other person I want to introduce is Era Bentley from Bentley House. She actually has an amazing video on how to make handles from cardstock. And so I utilized suggestions from both of them from their sites and wanted to share that with you. I use cardstock for my handles, just light cardstock, and cut out the conch shell that I had drawn and through Photoshop, and made an SVG, and you'll see here they are. I did quite a bit because I hope to use those in the kitchen cabinets later on, and I have a couple that look like little handles. Those hopefully will be towel racks. Now, one thing you have to do is glue 2 pieces of this cardstock together to give it the sturdiness and the thickness you need. And I was struggling with how in the world do you attach it? And Era Bentley does a great job of showing 4 different ways to do it. But one thing I found was Q-tips, cutting the Q-tips. Now here you'll see this is the vinyl. This is the silver vinyl that I put as an overlay. Some people paint, but I just wanted to utilize the resource I have. I use tacky glue to glue the cardstock together, and you just simply have to put your vinyl, basically it's like a stencil on top. And you'll see here's the cardstock. I just laid it on a piece of the printable coil wood vinyl. I tested the Cricut Strong Grip clear adhesive that you take the vinyl off with, and does a great job, but I had a really hard time getting that little piece of silver off the Cricut vinyl to attach to the cardstock. So then I ended up using contact paper, and that worked out better. Got it at the dollar store. Again, money saver. Gives a nice patina to the handle, and I thought it's just really cool. Now, this is the cool part to me. Era Bentley uses Q-tips. You cut off the Q-tips, you paint them, glue them. You can put an indentation in your cabinet, or just, I use tacky glue and super glue and glued them to my cabinet. We'll see how well they work. I might have to drill a hole, but if I do, that's okay. I'm learning. And I just wanted to share some of the good things and some of the challenges I've had, because then we all learn from each other, and I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your compliments as well. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like, subscribe, share with your friends. I hope this is a teachable video for everyone, and it's an inexpensive way to do things without breaking the bank. You don't have to use a Cricut Maker. You could actually use X-Acto knives, but I just love my machine, and it's more precise than I am. Mahalo. Have a great day. Hope to see you again.